The week we've been waiting for finally arrived. 2 months of snow melted. What a glorious sight. Who would have guessed that such a scene could be so moving? Just to see sidewalks again. Just to see blacktops on unslushed, unsludged, unslippery, unsanded, unsalted streets. What a relief. But have you seen what's been lurking underneath that snow? It's not so much the potholes. This is kind of like a natural phenomenon, although is it unreasonable to ask whether a country that can send people to the moon can figure out how to create pavement on the streets that doesn't freeze when it ices over or snows and creates potholes? But I'm not really talking about that. I'm talking about the human stuff. Layer upon layer of filth, garbage, cigarette butts lining the avenues as if they were ashtrays. Where did all this garbage come from? Do people still do that? Throw away whatever is in their hands whenever they are holding it, wherever they are? Do they think that if they toss whatever is in their hands into the snow, that what? It disappears? It's almost like an archaeological dig, like a tell. You can accurately measure when the big freeze began and when it ended by uncovering the layers of cigarettes and other filth. If you can assess the age of the bagel on the third level, you can identify what day it snowed. As you may know, I walk through the park every day. It's a little better there, although don't get me started on what dogs like to do in the park. They are, by nature, incapable of just ignoring a pure, white, virgin layer of snow. No, they feel they had to leave a mark. Everyone knows that Rover was here. I assume that it was Rover who left his mark and not Roger, Rover's owner. But in New York, who knows? Anything goes. But there was beauty this week in the park as well. As the snow melted, you could catch a glimpse of gorgeous green grass growing gallantly and gamely in garden glades. Underneath all the layers of grime, the new shoots were awaiting their day in the sun. And it struck me that here was a metaphor on life. We start life like the bright green shoots of new grass. Gradually, however, layer upon layer of garbage is piled on. The weight of life is hoisted onto our shoulders. We pile on responsibilities. We take on debt. We encounter loss. We endure disease. We assume discipline, and we establish routines. These deplete our energy and distract us from the wonders of our own imagination. We simply do not have the time to satiate the sense of the spirit nor the sustenance of the soul. We pile on the years, layer upon layer, year after year. We just do our thing. We lose the capacity of surprise. The new shoots of grass are buried deep inside of us, bartered away in exchange for the lives that we lead. The hard work, the dedication, the discipline, the sharing of our lives, and the assumption of responsibility for other people's lives. they just turn these shiny new green grass darker and browner. When we were young, when we were new shoots, everything amazed us. Do you remember what it was like to experience something for the first time? There's nothing like the first time. As the years unfold, it gets harder and harder to even remember that feeling. The unbound, unadulterated, untainted, pure pleasure of wonder, of tasting food that you never tasted before, of touching something you never touched before, of thinking something you never thought before. Do you remember what it was like to live with such joy before your energies were harnessed and increasingly depleted under the layered yoke of personal and social responsibility? But here's the thing. We still yearn for that new grass. Season after season, we hope that all the layers will melt away like the winter snows, and we wait. But we never seem to unfreeze completely, to rediscover the newness of things. There's still enough in us to cause us to yearn for that feeling, that thrill of being alive, that fundamental, organic, original joy that we experienced when we were new. If we had financial resources, we often think that we can purchase this feeling. We just spend on any toy that we want, and the stuff we acquire might actually sustain us for a while, but we know the truth. Sooner or later, we tire of these. They become routine. Often we embark on a purchasing spree of accumulating new things because with each hit, the feeling of satisfaction lessens and we need more of it. The reason for our dissatisfaction is that what we search for is not material and hence cannot be sated by material things. This feeling of ecstasy is not drug-induced. You can't simply pop a pill to change the chemistry of the prefrontal cortex of your brain. It doesn't last. And the need for the hit keeps getting stronger. With each hit, the feeling is lessened, and we need more of it. And that's what we learned from our Parsha of the week. A double portion, Vayakel Pikudei. The tabernacle is now complete. Chapter after chapter in the book of Exodus, 13 chapters in all, describe in minute detail all of the material elements that went into the construction of the tabernacle. And they were the finest of material elements, the best that money can buy. Gold and silver and precious gems and jewels and fine linens, anything you could think of in the ancient world to beautify the Mishkan. We still value these things. And we still think that these can make us happy. But these were not ends in themselves. In themselves, they did not produce that which we yearn for. We read in the last passage in the book of Exodus the following verse. Vayachal Moshe et hamlacha, vayachas he'anan et oel moed, uchvod Adonai maleh et hamishkan. When Moses finished the work, the cloud covered the tent of meeting and the presence of God filled the tabernacle. For human beings, we experience God. That feeling of ecstasy, unexplained joy, exhilaration, purpose, oneness, and newness through a cloud. It's a misty, mysterious, shrouded, intangible, and immaterial feeling. It's a feeling, an emotion that is surrounded by tangible things, but is not in itself tangible. Go into the cloud. Find the presence of God in the tabernacle of your life. If you don't like that word, God, describe it in any way you want. But take some time to rediscover joy, wonder, amazement, and exhilaration. Look to unearth the newness, the freshness, the budding shoots of green that have been covered by layer after layer of life's debris. These shoots are still there. They never leave us. We just have to work harder to dig them out. Robert Louis Stevenson wrote a magnificent essay called The Lantern Bearers. He writes, "Justice is not done to the versatility and the unplumbed childishness of man's imagination. His life from without may seem but a rude mound of mud. There will be some golden chamber at the heart of it. You have that inside of you. The unplumbed imagination that is so vivid and so strong in us in childhood, it's still there. And at the heart is the tabernacle, some golden chamber shrouded in a cloud. We still have that fresh imagination that made everything so exhilarating when we were young. It has simply been covered by mounds of mud. Search, and you may find." Stevenson describes the old fable of a monk who passed into the woods, heard a bird break into song, hearkened for a trill or two, and then the monk returned to the convent. According to the fable, when the monk returned, no one knew who he was. He was a stranger because he had been absent for 50 years. The trill of the bird caused the years to pass by in a moment. All of life, writes Stevenson, is spun out of two strands: seeking for that bird and hearing him. Just a knowledge of this and a remembrance of those fortunate hours in which the bird has sung to us fills us with such wonder. All of life is remembering how filled we were at the sheer exhilaration of being alive, and the search for experiencing again the wonder of discovery and the joy of finding. Stevenson concludes, "Find out where joy resides and give it a voice. For to miss the joy is to miss all."